Welcome to Peak Oil News for August 3rd, 2022. Oil prices have dropped a little bit over the last several weeks. Crude is sitting just under $100 as recession fears have led to speculators hitting the brakes on oil purchases. But will a recession lower demand? According to one oil market analyst outfit, demand for oil is still robust and will likely remain that way throughout the economic downturn. The reason for this is that despite seeing negative growth in quarter one, negative 1.6%, and at Q2 of negative 0.9%, unemployment is still relatively low, and many sectors of the economy are still strong. Also, an indicator I often look at for economic activity, gross U.S. traffic, has continued to increase, and of course another reason why oil prices are unlikely to see a precipitous drop, as they did in 2008, is because of structural issues in the oil market. So, there simply isn't the ability for supply and demand to find equilibrium without prices staying elevated. Armita Sen, Director of Research at Energy Aspects, told Bloomberg on Friday that the world can expect a very small increase from the OPEC Plus group when they meet next week, adding, "The reality is very few of these countries even have spare capacity." She went on to note that the market seems to be completely missing the fact that the massive SPR release will stop in October. International diplomatic news from the Peak Energy front. Well, the trend of countries banning energy exports is continuing to expand, with Kazakhstan and Australia now getting in on the act. Kazakhstan's Industry and Infrastructure Development Ministry announced that it will be banning exports of coal to prepare for winter. Last year, the country was hammered with coal shortages as an unusually early cold snap led to high prices and long lines at coal depots. One man even threatened self-immolation after being unable to find coal, and others tried to ram down the gates of a shuttered coal depot. However, not all blame the problem of last year's hardships on the exportation of local coal, but rather on speculators who supposedly hid the coal in order to drive up the price. Kazakhstan's largest foreign buyer has historically been Russia, who buys about 16 tons of coal a year from that country. And Australia is looking to ban exports on LNG. At least that is what is being proposed by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission in the face of domestic shortages of the product. And it looks like the Australian energy market operator is already taking steps by deciding to activate a supply guarantee mechanism made to ensure domestic markets have ample product. The mechanism allows for the government to divert LNG cargoes from the foreign market to the domestic market in case of a shortage at home. LNG demand has surged recently in Australia because coal has been shunned and renewables cannot fill the gap. And in cornucopian news, we see oil profits continue to rise. Marathon Petroleum dazzled the market by beating its second quarter estimates, reporting a $5.7 billion net income, or $10.71 per diluted share. That is quite a number considering that its net income for the same period in 2021 was just $437 million. Much of this was led by the company's refining and marketing department that saw its margin soar from $12.45 per barrel in Q2 of 2021 to $37.54 per barrel in the second quarter of 2022. The board also recently okayed a $5 billion stock buyback option with no expiration. The timing of the repurchases is ambiguous, and there is an option to cancel or suspend the plan at any time. BP also reported excellent quarterly profits, the highest in 14 years, and increased share dividends by 10%. But before we get all Elizabeth Warren on oil companies, I would encourage you to watch my video on why company profits aren't as frivolous or as exploitive as they may seem. A link is in the description. And in caloric news, it's more bad news. The World Health Organization is asking for $123 million in the face of a looming hunger and health crisis in the Horn of Africa. 80 million people are expected to face hunger not seen in decades, and over 20 million people are already on the verge of starvation. All right, folks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.